Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and I'd like to give a big warm hello to all of our loyal viewers and listeners, and also say hello to all of our friends over on E360 TV, Roku Worldwide, Amazon Fire, and soon, as we have an announcement this week, our friends at Zizzle TV will be joining us on over 300 platforms. So, our show today is a woman's prerogative, and our topic is an interesting one: navigating challenges in male-dominated fields. If you've ever watched this show before, you know that this is a show with panelists from around the world. Today, we have two of our team members with us. Let's bring them out. Joining us from the United Kingdom, she helps you bust your stress, knock it out of the ballpark. Goodbye. It's Caroline HEWARD joining us from London. Hello.
Woohoo!
Yes, stress, take a rest.
Bust your stress, all right. Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN.
Thank you. It's good to have you with us. Thanks for making the time. All right. Also joining us from London, she's African Woman of the Year, best-selling author, Dr. Justina MUTALE. Come on out. Hello.
Hi, JACALYN. Hi, Caroline. And hello to all of the viewers.
Hello, hello. Nice to have both of you here today. And this is a really important topic. Before we dive into it, since we are a smaller group, hello to Dr. Chan and hello to Mariska. I'd love to have each of you share for our new viewers a little bit about what you do and how you can help our audience. Let's start with Caroline.
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. Well, I help people literally, as Dr. JACALYN said, bust their stress. And how I do that is I help you find the root cause of what's causing the problems. we many times walk around with that stressful physical ache and pain, or it might be that relationship that's not working, or that forever situation of feeling anxious about something. So it is, however it's manifesting for you in your life. And usually we have those same experiences of how stress manifests on a regular basis when we're stressed. So it's that I help you with, whether it's physical, ache and pain, whether it's emotional, sadness, loneliness, heartache, or indeed when it's mental, so anxiety, depression, or stress. And I help you break through the patterns, the behavioral patterns that create your everyday stress. Now, it's important for me to say that some people walk around and say, I'm not stressed, but they don't sleep, or they're complaining about a relationship, or they're complaining about something at work. That's how stress is manifesting in your life. And I help you break through the patterns by identifying what's caused that symptom in the first place. And I do it through a really simple process, and it really helps you to release the emotions that trap the energy that creates your manifestation of stress. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Dr. Justina MUTALE, how do you help people?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn. I help to create and, of course, inspire future female leaders. So tonight's topic is really close to my heart. I am the author of The Art of Iconic Leaderships that reviews the power secrets of female world leaders. I help you tap into your natural wisdom, your natural traits that are within you as a woman that will enable you to become an effective leader. I am a gender advocate, and of course, I advocate for the achievement of gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls. I work in the civil society arena, so we are always shouting at the top of our voices that women need to move from outrage to the courage to reclaim their rights, reclaim their rights and reassert themselves in leadership positions. So I believe that until we have what we call a 50-50 planet, then we can see the world going the right direction.
Amen to that. Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Justina. All right, let's get right into the topic, navigating challenges in male-dominated fields. Have either of you ever experienced something where you were in an environment and you were working to assert yourself and you were just being chopped down at every point by a man saying, no, you're wrong. No, that doesn't make sense. I don't want to listen to you. I see you both smiling. So I guess this could be a very long answer. So let's go to Dr. Justina.
I have not personally experienced that. I have not, I've always worked in areas or environments that accept or value both male and females. But I have heard some of and also during my research, I have seen and found that there are a number of things that women, the challenges that women find that they would need to navigate in a male, if they have to work in male-dominated area. And this begins with right from the onset, from the hiring process. From the hiring process, for example, women sometimes hold back on what they are capable of, and whereas the men will just, even if they don't know, they don't have all the skills, they will kind of offer themselves. Then there's also the issue of the gender pay gap, where men would be paid more for the same kind of job while a woman is being paid less for the same position, the same responsibilities, and of course the same with the same job title. So those are some of the challenges that we have found through research that women face that work in male-dominated environments.
Thank you, Dr. Justina. I know for myself, I've typically worked in male-dominated environments from my first job. And even now in television, I haven't done a lot of research, but I do know that people are always saying, oh, you're a pioneer. Well, I don't think I'm a pioneer because we've got Oprah and Ellen and a lot of other people over here. But there have definitely been a number of challenges. And I appreciate the fact that you advocate for equal rights and for gender equality. So thank you. Let's go over to Caroline. What would you like to share?
Thank you. I totally agree with Dr. Justina in terms of that there is challenges, and it's great that you haven't experienced them in the comfort of your working environments. That's absolutely wonderful. I have. Everywhere I've gone in corporate, I've constantly experienced the gender situation of the masculine energy being in the boardroom. And even when I was doing lots of voluntary roles, it was quite hard to be accepted, but I was just doing the work anyway, and then landed up getting those voluntary roles in chairman's roles in the capacity of volunteering. And I was working probably harder in those voluntary roles than the person that was actually being paid within the a company environment that was working with the voluntary in the voluntary capacity. So, for instance, Chartered Institute of Marketing, I was doing more as a vice chairman than the person that I was actually connecting with that was being paid for the role. So it is a challenge. And what you've said, Dr. Jacalyn, in terms of the pay, you know, it is different, you know, and it's been going on for a long time. And there's so many aspects to this that I could bring up, you know, sort of right from the word go. When I first started working, when I left school, I was working as a baker and confectioner when I first left school, and I was a master baker. So obviously, you know, you can't actually have that title anymore. But master baker, essentially, I was working with all men. And because I went into management as soon as I went into the role, because I was being paid as a manager, I was expected to lift the sacks of flour. And they punished me because I was either getting the same pay as them or more when they found out what pay I was on because of management. So I do consider that it's challenging, and I've been in that experience of being challenged in the corporate world ever since I left school back in 1980.
Thank you, Caroline. Dr. Justina, would you like to reply to what Caroline just said?
Yes, yeah. We have heard a lot of those stories that Caroline is talking about, and you find that in most male-dominated environments, women's leadership is not appreciated. It's not appreciated, or it's not even acknowledged. So you find that female leaders are being put down by their male subordinates, and also sometimes you experience sexual harassment, or, you know, when women are a woman leader or a woman manager, the focus on that woman manager is more on how they look. For example, there was once a news report on the BBC some time back where we had then I think it was Theresa May and Nicola Sturgeon when she was the first minister of Scotland, and there was something that they had discussed that was very important for the country, to do with the politics of the country. But all the newspapers spoke about was what Theresa May was wearing and how she sat, her shoes, her dress, the length of her skirt, as compared to what Nicola Sturgeon was wearing, rather than report on what the outcomes or the important key messages of what their meeting had been about. So these are some of the things that you women experience in male-dominated areas. Of course, Theresa May was Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and Nicola Sturgeon was First Minister, which is almost equal to being Prime Minister of Scotland. And these two powerful women were leading these two countries, and all the media could focus on is, one, what they looked like, two, what they were wearing on that day, the length of their skirts and the height of their heels.
And it's interesting because I don't recall ever looking at a male and saying, wow, his jacket sleeve length looks like it's not actually the proper length, or he's wearing flood pants today. Did you see his blue socks on with brown shoes? I don't know. So I want to take a step back just for the title, Navigating Challenges in Male Dominated Fields. I remember way back when I first started in work, my father was an automotive dealer and car dealer, and that industry was really male dominated. I remember Ford, Mercury, General Motors, it was mostly men. I don't know how it is today. But when you think about male dominated fields today, what comes to mind?
For me, the boardroom. There's still very few women in the boardroom, and it's just a fact. I mean, it's a simple fact. And even though there's been some changes, it is a plain fact. If you look at some of the successful companies, and if you go into the boardroom, it's mainly male dominated with a few token women, if we're lucky.
Thank you, Caroline. Dr. Justina, would you agree with that comment?
Yes, but also I think at every level of leadership, that is why we are still fighting for gender equality. We are still fighting for what we call a 50-50 planet, where we would like to see that at every high-level decision-making table, we can have 50% male perspective and, of course, 50% female perspective. That's where we can have 50% female leadership in all areas, all spheres of life. That means from politics, business, society, environment, technology, music, entertainment, art, any area of human endeavor, because at the moment, leadership is still dominated by men. When you look at politics, I think we only have about 7% women in as heads of government or heads of state in a world where we have about 193 countries that are members of the United Nations. And also from the last research that I did, I think that hasn't changed that much. Out of the 500 Fortune 500 or FTSE 500 companies, we've only got 25% of those are led by women. So that is in business. I've already talked about politics, and to do with politics as well, the overall number of women in parliament is about at 19 to 22% overall when you take the overall count of the whole world. And look, now we are trying to advocate for girls and women in STEM, because even the STEM industry, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, is dominated by men, and women are coming late to that table. In fact, when we go back, you will see that women were left behind in the first, second, third, and fourth industrial revolution. So now we are trying to come on board in the third industrial revolution. So now we are trying to come on board in the fourth and fifth industrial revolution, where we are trying to get more women and girls into STEM subjects. First of all, to start with schooling, because most of the even from school, girls were not encouraged to take science subjects. They were not encouraged to take mathematics subjects or engineering subjects. So we've always been left behind. So it's in all areas, really, when you look around. And even in the music industry, you find there are more male superstars than female superstars. You can count the female superstars on one side of your hand, but there are so many male superstars out there. So it is in all areas that women and girls are still lagging behind.
I agree with everything you just said. What I'm wondering is, if we look at the other side, we're advocating for women. We're talking about where women don't have a seat at the table. Is it that we really don't want a seat at the table? We've just given up?
I think women are much more. I think women are much more less likely to put themselves forward, and that's not the case for everybody. And I think there's definitely a confidence issue. They're not so prepared to blag their way through. And there is a discomfort for some women, even though they could probably do the job better than some of their counterparts within the working environment. They still feel that sense of insecurity. And I do believe that that sense of insecurity is born of the environment and not necessarily just themselves. And then they take on that insecurity and then feel that they couldn't do as good a job, even though their counterparts aren't doing a great job. They still feel a sense of insecurity for going up to those positions. And I guess that perhaps, you know, imposter syndrome comes up for some people, and also the fear of being ridiculed by their masculine counterparts within the working environment.
Yes, I agree with you, Caroline. I just want to add to that, and then we'll go to Dr. Justina. I know for me as an entrepreneur, I hear from men all the time reaching out, hey, I love what you've done. You're doing a great job. However, but did you ever think of, have you considered, like, why are you telling me something else I need to do when you're not even in my industry, but you're kind of just throwing those rocks? And I think it's always been like that. Why do they have to give the negative feedback? And then that kind of makes me feel like, oh, maybe I should withdraw. And then I think, no, I have to soldier on. So Dr. MUTALE, what do you say?
I think this plays out in various ways, two main ways. For example, there is still very strongly embedded institutional discrimination. Like I said, right from the onset with the hiring bias, and also once a woman is hired, and they start rising for as long as they are not going to have children. Even today, getting pregnant and having a child works negatively for a woman in a high level position, because we have seen from the research and from some of the women that we work with that as they keep rising and when they decide to have children and take that maternity leave, some of them do not return to the position that they were given. They'll find that the person that was brought in to act on their behalf has now, and usually it will be a man, they have taken over that position. This is because the employers or the industry cannot afford to lose money, so to speak, or lose their position in that industry by having this woman going off to have a child and taking time off as maternity leave. So there is all this institutional discrimination. Another one we already talked about, the gender pay gap, where women are not paid the same amount as men. And also, I talked about the first, second, and third industrial revolutions. The work model has still not been tweaked to fit the women's work model. We still have the work model, a work model that favors men rather than women. Yeah, and this is also to do with what I've just talked about. For example, the maternity leave. And but then there's also another thing with the women. It's to do with traditions and cultural beliefs, where in most cultures women have been told they cannot do a man's job, or they cannot perform at as high level as a man. So this also, a lot of women have got limiting beliefs that hold them back, that they cannot even try to apply for those higher positions, and they would rather, then they leave it to the men. So we have all these you have all these different various factors at play that hold women back. Some of them are actually instilled in there through institutional discrimination, and others are just limiting beliefs because of the cultural and traditional beliefs that women have been brought up with, to think that men should do a certain kind of job and women should do a different kind of job.
Thank you, doctor. I love the fact that you brought up limiting beliefs. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I know I've always struggled with that. And Caroline, as a therapist, I'm sure you must see people who come to you and say, or maybe they don't even know it's limiting beliefs. But what I want to know is, do we feel just collectively, the three of us here, based on our experience, that women have the ability to attain more success or be more successful, whatever that looks like, as an independent, as an entrepreneur, get out of corporate, as opposed to staying in corporate and working to rise to the top?
I'd agree with everything that you were saying, Dr. Jacalyn, that there is a lot more women entrepreneurs that have actually come out of corporate and set up their own businesses. And I've known of many people that are in quite masculine environments, such as solicitors, barristers, accountants, bankers, that have come out of their corporate environments and set themselves up in terms of consultancy or coaching or mentoring, and they're doing very well. And it's because they hit the ceiling because of the masculine counterparts within their environment of their work and not able to be taken seriously. And then on the other side of that, I've also seen people that have done very, very well as women within those kind of environments. And then, you know, just today there was some conversation on Facebook, which I happened to make a comment about why are single women that are successful have money, education, intelligence, and beauty, and what's the problem? And I thought, well, you know, without even reading the linked article, the comments underneath it from men mainly, not all of them, but most of the comments from men were because they were saying there was something wrong. So this is then institutionalized that, you know, men think that you should be married, you know, not everyone, but, you know, sort of there is an expectation that women should be married. And when they're married, then they're not useful within the corporate environment. So it's a double-edged sword. And I did, you know, put a few comments in my 2 penneth in terms of what my views were. And there was somebody that really kind of was debating with me and really knocked me back, saying that, you know, that from the perspective of the conversation, the comment, that I should not you know, sort of try and put my problems onto them, you know, that I have my own insecurities. I just thought it was really amusing because they don't like to see there is this definite issue about brains, intelligence and beauty and being in the boardroom and actually being in successful jobs in corporate. And, you know, I think that person has a problem. And that's not only one person. There are many people like that that are men that have a problem with women having the intelligence and doing well, and at the same time realizing that they've stayed single to be able to get that accolade and that success.
It's like a big twisted puzzle, isn't it? And I know just recently someone said to me, you know, it's amazing you don't have a partner. Are you telling people what you've accomplished? Because that's kind of a turnoff. You know, try to play down what you've accomplished and just tell them what you can do for them. Oh, yes. Dr. Matale, over to you.
Yeah, going back to your question, women doing better as entrepreneurs rather than being in the corporate industry, I think that is we are seeing this more and more often because when you start off as an entrepreneur, of course, you shoot directly to the top because you are then the founder and CEO of the organization or company that you have founded, and it will take you forever in the corporate industry to rise from where you started from to get to the position of CEO, and also where they have to employ you directly as CEO of a company. It's very rare that they take in women. So women becoming entrepreneurs is really an encouragement and a fast track way to get to the top. We do have women in a lot of women are role models that I could say that have risen to the top in various different areas of operation. And some of these women I have highlighted in my book, In the Art of Iconic Leadership, the Power Secrets of Female World Leaders, where I have highlighted the leadership journeys. I have chronicled the leadership journeys of women that have kind of stood out for me from historical times up to date. And these are women from politics, business, society, and all other areas of operation. So it does show you that it is possible for women to rise and to lead at a high level, but what they need is to be given an opportunity. They need to be given an opportunity to do so. For example, if you know the story of Rwanda, the women of Rwanda, before the genocide, traditionally, a woman couldn't own a business, they couldn't participate in politics, and they couldn't even participate in community activities without the permission of a male relative. You needed to ask a husband, your father, your uncle, your grandfather, or even your brother, even if they were younger than you. But after the genocide, which claimed the lives of more men than women, women woke up and found that they had no brother, uncle, grandfather, or brother, husband from whom to seek permission. They instantly found themselves thrust in these leadership positions. And of course, they rose to the occasion. So when you look at the story of Rwanda, then it is even today the country that has the highest number of women in political decision making. And also, the last time I did the research, there was 45% of women in business, which I think perhaps now it's 50%. And Rwanda is one of the highest, has the highest rate of economic rate, rising economic rate. So it is just about opportunity. If women are given an opportunity, then they could rise as high as they can. But like I say, there's already this embedded institutional discrimination that doesn't allow women to go above a certain area. For in the example of Rwanda, like with the women in political participation, it was when they took off the this idea that only so many women could, they allowed them to participate on equal footing, and then they found that the women overtook the men. And also, of course, the men were taken off the table because most of them had perished in the in the genocide. So women rose, and you find that Rwanda is one of the it's a rising country in Africa, and a good example to the rest of the world that when women are given an opportunity, when men do not hold back the women can rise, and of course the women have got the leadership potential, and this has been exhibited by the women of Rwanda.
Thank you, Dr. Justina. And in your research, and also in the research you did for your book, have you been able to ascertain that when women are able to rise, whether it's in Rwanda or somewhere else, that they did so by becoming closer with male allies or making males their mentor? Or is it really women sticking together and supporting other women?
It is both. It's women sticking together and supporting other women, but also Africa. In fact, from historical times, women have been leaders. This is not. This is something that is not shown in the history books, but women in Africa have always been leaders, and in some places, women were always equal or even more superior to their male counterparts. But the tables were turned with from my research because of colonization. See, before there were people in Africa who lived were like what you call they had a subsistence economy. of which everybody tilled the land and they ate off the land. They ate the food that they grew themselves. And so when the monetary economy came in with colonization, they had to pick colonization introduced the idea of men going to work not in their own fields and not on their own farms to grow their own food, but to work elsewhere for somebody else so they can earn money, as in notes and coins, in order to buy bread tomorrow. And this tilted the status of the women in Africa, because then the men became what they called they called them the breadwinners. So that is why it was easy for the women in Rwanda to just suddenly rise to the occasion. When you talk about male allies and male mentors, in my research again, at some point, I can't remember which year, the United Nations had introduced what they called quotas. Quotas, especially in political decision making, but also this was also introduced later in the boardrooms. And they had introduced, for example, that 30%, at least 30, every parliament should have 30% women, and then, the rest will be men. And eventually there was a cry for 50%. But that kind of thing is where you found that because countries were almost like commanded, for a better word, commanded by the United Nations to have these quotas, you found that the men that were leading in those areas had to pick women just so they could make up the quotas. And then it was a negative thing that happened, because those women then had to, their loyalty lay to the men that put them in those positions. So those women did not work or fight for women, because they had to be loyal to the men that put them in those positions. It's a catch 22 kind of thing, where in trying to help women come up, somehow it was still putting women backwards. So those are the women that kind of rose with behind male mentors. But in Africa, for example, in my mother's family, a woman rules the kingdom, and a woman has always ruled that kingdom. So it's women always coming together and getting to those leadership positions.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And also, just to tag on to something that you just said, there's also obviously a certain percentage of women who are in roles because a male was trying to check off the box that, we need a woman in this position. And then the woman gets into the role and realizes they don't have any power or autonomy or authority anyway. Caroline, I know you have something you want to say.
Yes, I do. This is the reason that it's like it. I'm always about looking at why, why is it like it is, and why we have this inequality of women in the workplace and in these higher positions in the boardroom and in the bigger managerial positions, is because before the war, and you have to kind of look at how things were. The men went to work and the women stayed at home looking after the family and cooking and cleaning. And what happened after the wars is that there were less men that came home, and the women then found that they had to go to work. So in the 60s, certainly in Europe, there was a huge rise of women into the workplace, and that created the changes. Now, the corporate institutions were built by men, and so they're very masculine. And that's why the women going in are always almost on the back foot, because they're masculine structures, hierarchical structures. There's very few that are flat structures. And so it is built and it's maintained by the masculine energy. And that's why there's for the feminine energy, it's like 2 steps forward, 4 steps backward. And it's almost like there's still that fight of the fact that it was built by men for men, and it wasn't built equal. And because it wasn't built equal, there has been a fight for women to be there, of a working environment that was actually created for men.
I love that perspective. Thank you, Caroline. Caroline and Dr. Justina, we're coming to the end of our show already, and I love this conversation. But before we go, any last comments you have on this topic, Dr. Justina?
I think I would like to say that to every woman out there, I said it is time for them to move from the outrage to courage, to reclaim their rights, reclaim and accept themselves in the leadership positions, and also to let them know that it is possible for them to lead. It is possible for them to be a head of state or head of government, a president or prime minister, and of course it is possible for them to be the CEO of a big conglomerate, and that it is all these areas are possible. You just have to reassert yourself. You have to take away those limiting beliefs that that hold you back. The women in my book have done it. The women of Rwanda did it. Most of the women in Africa, as in my the queen from my mother's kingdom, she still rules. Of course, in the UK, we always had Queen Elizabeth. She ruled for over, was it 70 years? So it is possible for women to rise and also to be in leadership positions. We just have to reassert ourselves and believe in ourselves. We have to have that unshakable self-belief that we can do this, and it is possible for us to do that.
Absolutely. And read books like Dr. Mutale's. Reach out to other women who are where you want to go. Most women I know are very happy to provide some type of mentorship or to be a support system. So please don't think you're alone, because you're not. Caroline, last words from you on this topic.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. It's important to know and remember the skills of the masculine and the female energy. The female energy is highly collaborative, where the masculine energy are mainly competitive. And so usually the masculine energy gets the job done with logic and practical. But the feminine energy, so the women, they will come in and look at collaborations. So I feel that it is a partnership, because I don't feel that you can do one without the other. And you will find that some of the companies that do very well are because they use the women for the collaboration of working with other companies. And so it's important to remember that where two sides come together, more is achieved. No man literally is an island. And when we bring in the women, there is competition and logic, as well as that comradeship of compassion and collaboration.
Thank you, Caroline. Before we go back to Dr. Justina, how can people get in touch with you, and what is your Zoom offer?
You can reach me on nomorestress@live.co.uk, or call me on +44 if you're international. If you're local, 07523 120 189. My offer is for a 15-minute free consultation on Zoom, or if you're camera shy, over a call or WhatsApp. Reach out to me on email to begin with, so that we can sort out the best time so that you can have your free consultation and bust your stress.
Bust your stress. Thank you very much. Dr. Justina, how can people get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me at Justina Mutale at justinamutale.com. They can also find me on my website, www.justinamutale, and all social media platforms. I am just at Justina Mutale. And of course, they can Google me and they will be able to find me. I help you master the art of iconic leadership by letting you by bringing out your natural traits, your natural wisdom, in order to become an iconic leader.
Thank you very much. And thank you both for taking the time to be here today. I really do appreciate you. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, and thank you, Caroline. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And thank you to all of our viewers and our listeners. If you're watching over on another platform, please download our app on Roku. It's USA Global TV, Amazon Fire, USA Global TV. Download our app. If you're watching on E360 TV, you can download our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV and Radio. Thank you again. We're going to close out with some of our sponsorships. We love our sponsors. We couldn't be here if it weren't for them. So thank you so much. Please stay tuned because you can always learn something, get some new information, and we look forward to continuing to share with you. Bye for now.
Women of the Caribbean and around the world, are you tired of the status quo? Tired of barely making ends meet? Tired of giving maximum effort for minimum results? Are you in need of change, a fresh start, a new outlook, a new perspective? It's time to break through. Join us along with women from around the world at the Empower Her Escape, a 5-day all-inclusive royal cruise to the Bahamas and Florida. Connect with world leaders and influencers and begin afresh your journey to more. Hear dynamic speakers with sessions on women in leadership, the importance of mentorship, how to start a business from the ground up, financial literacy, an integrated approach to wellness and wholeness, and so much more. Guest speakers include First Lady Anne-Marie Davis of the Bahamas, Her Royal Highness Katerina of Yugoslavia Lady de Silva, Her Royal Highness Queen Sekothali Mephena of South Africa, and Coach Max, Global Multi-Six-Figure Wealth Coach. Cruise packages include 2 nights at an all-exclusive resort, gratuities, taxes, and port fees, red carpet welcome and extravaganza, course materials, and a souvenir gift bag, flight not included. The Empower Her Escape Cruise takes place on May 15th through the 19th, 2024, departing from the port of Palm Beach, Riviera Beach, Florida. Hosts for this life-changing event are Coach Cherish Hollingsworth of Florida and Coach Mercy Gilbert of the UK. For more information, visit our website at www.empowerherroyalescape.com or call us at 954-203-6608 or email us at cherishresiliencecoach@gmail.com. Connect, collaborate, celebrate at the Empower Her Escape Cruise.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diane Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at dianefloydboehm.com. Visit dianefloydboehm.com. That's dianefloydboehm.com.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents our partner and sponsor, Mr. Philip Sykes and the British School of Excellence, building confidence, changing lives. And now, proudly presenting the Polished Professional.
On a transformative journey with the British School of Excellence's comprehensive suite of masterclasses, crafted to elevate your professional and personal life. 8 outstanding modules will elevate you to the next level. Module 1, Exploring Life's Purpose, delves into the depths of self-discovery, guiding you to chart your unique path to fulfillment and success. Module 2, Mastering Professional Presence and Confidence. This masterclass is a deep dive into the art of self-assurance and commanding presence, which is essential for standing out in today's competitive landscape. Module 3, Learn the secrets of visual impact, how to curate a personal style that amplifies your professional brand. Module 4, Mastering Professional Etiquette and Communication Excellence, navigating the nuances of corporate interaction with grace and tact. Module 5, Elegance in Eloquence. We impart powerful techniques to captivate and persuade any audience with your oratory skills. Module 6, Unlock the potential of your emotional intelligence, EQ, and harness the ability to connect, empathize, and lead with emotional savvy. Module 7, Mastering DISC, building a gateway to understanding behavioral styles, fostering better personal and professional relationships. Module 8, Mastery in Dining Etiquette, building your confidence to perfect the subtleties of dining with finesse, enhancing your social savviness at any table. Step into the Polished Professional program where poise, elegance, and excellence aren't just taught, they're instilled for life. Join us to redefine your potential and polish your professional edge.
To learn more, go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. The British School of Excellence are investors in people. Let us invest in you.